think this is the thing. In listening to what she had to say, I didn't hear any specific policy differences with Democrats. So it's like, I don't know what you're talking about. This is kind of the both sidesism at its worst when you say that the extremes of both parties. It's such a popular phrase that people use. And I'm sorry, but there's only one party in America that tried to overthrow its own government. Mm-hmm. That was the Republican Party. There's only one party in America that's trying to take away the votes of women in this country. That's the Republican Party. There's only one party in America that has an active effort to try to suppress voters, suppress communities of color from being able to participate in the democratic process. That's the Democratic Party. So to go out there and say, well, the extremes on both sides, that is such a nonsense. One party's fighting to try to get more rights, to try to have lower health care, to try to address climate change, to try to rein in gun violence in America, to try to address income inequality and social injustice. The other party is trying to stop all of those things. That's the line. That's the difference. So Sinema's take on this, going out there saying, well, both sides are so extreme, is such BS, and you're right. It's 100% performative.
It's performative. I mean, look, first of all, she sounds like Elon Musk because she takes money from people like Elon Musk. She got the maximum from several GOP donors, according to FEC filings. She's like raking in money from big pharma and rich people. And so she talks just like Elon Musk. That's the kind of crap he says. But I want to go back and just go through some of the things that she has said about people who do what she's doing. This is in 2003, when Joe Lieberman did exactly what she's doing and became an independent, partly because he couldn't get reelected as a Democrat. So he switched parties, make it easier for himself. She said, quote, he's a shame to Democrats. At the time, she was a social worker and organizer. She said, I don't even know why he's running. He seems to want to get Republicans voting for him. What kind of strategy is that? He's just pathetic. A little bit about her. She wasn't a Democrat to begin with. She was a Ralph Naderite back in 2000. She was a Green Party person. So she came in. She used to rail against capitalism's almighty dollar. But now she welcomes the contributions of industry groups and corporate political action committees. She's raised at least $3 million from CEOs, business executives, investors, lobbyists, finance sector workers, campaign finance, et cetera. So she was a Ralph Nader person who attacked other people who did what she's doing. And now I don't know what she is. Isn't the reality here that because she shifted her personality so much, she can't get reelected? Ruben Gallego is polling 74-16 over her in a potential primary. Isn't what this is about that she cannot get reelected as a Democrat, and so she wants to do the same thing Lieberman did and try to win as an independent?
Yeah, I mean, let's just look for a second at the political environment. We're coming off of a historic performance by Democrats in the midterm elections. We're coming off of a historic win in Georgia that gave us 51 Democrat, at the moment, votes in the Senate. So why on earth would you pick now as the moment to go, after watching the voters universally reject Trumpism, MAGA extremism, I'm going to leave the Democratic Party, the party that just won a bunch of elections, especially in your own state of Arizona, which was a battleground state that we saw Democrats sweep those key races in the Senate, governorship, Mark Kelly getting reelected, Kerry Lake losing. Why would you pick now to leave unless you know that as a Democrat, you don't stand a chance against Congressman Ruben Gallego? You know that in a primary, Gallego would wipe the floor with you. And in the general, Gallego would be able to generate the younger Latino vote in a way that no other candidate in Arizona would be able to do so. This is obviously just a craven grab for political relevance and trying to extend your political lifeline. And I think it's just going to backfire massively.
And right. And I'm not. And look, by the way, she's the one person. She refused to get involved in getting rid of the filibuster to pass voting rights. Well, you can see why. If you pass really solid voting rights legislation, that helps voters of color. In her state, that means Latinos. And as you said, young Latinos are not going to be good for her in her reelect. She's going to have a problem getting reelected as a Democrat. If she runs as an independent, in her mind, I think she thinks she can kind of do what's happening in Alaska, what's happening in Vermont, where you have independents who can sort of push one of the two parties to stand down. But Democrats they don't have to stand down. Ruben Gallego could run, and then she and the Republican would split that vote, and Ruben Gallego will be the next senator. I think she might be
that's
gaming
exactly
it
right,
wrong.
Joy. Well, yeah, because, listen, the only pool of voters that she can really reliably pull from is maybe those McCain Republican voters. But she would be taking that away from the Republican on the ballot, not from Ruben Gallego. Gallego's going to be able to tap into a massive pool of voters, that, frankly, no one so far in Arizona has been able to do so. And that's an advantage that is not going to be nullified by whatever Sinema decides to do here.
And by the way, it's going to be a presidential year. I mean, you're going to have presidential level turnout. I think she's going to be able to have her fun for a year. And then in 2014, everybody get to know how to spell it. Gallego. That's all I'm trying to say. Kurt Bardella also has 2 L's. See, the 2 L folks are winning. Thank you, Kurt Bardella. I appreciate you, my friend. Coming up.